What's up guys, Duster McDaniels back here with another video, and welcome back to the NHL preview series for the 2022-2023 NHL season as we continue on in the Pacific Division. We've got two videos left in that division, and in today's episode we're going to be covering the Edmonton Oilers. We're going to take a look at their stats and record from last season, take a look at their acquisitions both in and out of the squad, as well as look forward and see what I think they're going to do this upcoming season, who needs to have a big year and who is going to have a big year with contracts and everything else. So without further ado guys, let's go ahead, hop into the video right now on the Edmonton Oilers. Taking a look now at the Edmonton Oilers stats from last year, they came in with a record of 49, 27, and 6, and there was concern earlier in the season, especially in the month of December, where they went 3-7-1, where they needed to get the coach out of there. They needed to make some changes for the before the deadline, move some people out, bring some people in, which they ended up doing. Evander Kane did slot in to the squad, being one of the big changes. But after December, January was still a little slow, 4-4-2, but then February, March, and April they were well above 500 all three of those months, getting to the postseason where they were able to make it to the conference finals, where they would lose to the eventual Stanley Cup champion. They actually got swept by them 4-0, but they finally got out of the first round. They made it to the conference finals, and unfortunately they could not make it all the way. Looking at their team stats now, goals for, they were 7th in the league. Goals against, they were ranked 16th. Their power play was 26% and a penalty kill of 79.4%. Now, I would say power play pretty solid, 26%. Anything I would say 20% and higher, you're at a good clip there, considering the fact that they were also 26%. Now, PK I think needs to be a little bit better, but that will come in due time with the team that they have, and moving forward and knowing and believing that they can make it far into the playoffs, I think will be a huge confidence booster moving forward into this next season. Now let's go ahead. We're going to take a look at the players that they've brought into the squad. We're going to take a look at the players that have left the squad, and then we'll break down their projected lines, salary cap, and close out this episode. Taking a look first at the faces that have left the team, and there is quite a large list here. Koskinen on the back end has left the Edmonton Oilers, as well as Mike Smith has retired, so both of their goaltenders from last year have left the squad. Duncan Keith has also retired, so two retirees there. What a career from Duncan Keith that he had, first with the Chicago Blackhawks, and that is what we all think of him as, is a Chicago Blackhawk. And then Derek Brassard as well has left the squad, and a longtime Edmonton Oilers, Zach Kassian, has also left the squad. They did not re-sign him. Now, the faces that they did bring in, and it is a big one that they've needed for a while, I think has been their Achilles heel, and that is a goaltender with Jack Campbell. They brought him over, Soupy, from the Toronto Maple Leafs, looking to fill in that goaltender #1 spot for them. They've also gone ahead and brought in Matthias Janmark, a little salt and pepper with some skill up front, should be a solid top 9 forward. And then not really a newer type player, but more of a heightened role as a rookie, Dylan Holloway, will come into the squad this year, I think on a more full-time basis, trying to enter in, I would say, the top 9 role as a forward for them and try to get maybe at least 30 points or more for them. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the projected lines, take a look at the salary cap, and then get my thoughts on this upcoming season. Taking a look here at their projected lines, they are looking extremely solid up the middle, as well as on their top 6 forward lines. Obviously, that top line with Hyman, McDavid, and Evander Kane could be something to compete with one of the best lines in the entire NHL. Second line, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto should be very solid there. You can really interchange Draisaitl and Hyman around if you wanted to keep McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line, or if you want to switch them up to split them apart and make the other team have to cater to each of those players individually on lines as opposed to stacking, could be a play this year. We got Foegele, McLeod, and Pulivari on that third line. A solid third line. I wouldn't say it's one of the top in the NHL, but it is definitely going to be solid if that is indeed their third line. Janmark, Ryan, and Shore honestly is a very solid fourth line if that is the line that they go with. You could interchange Foegele and Janmark, or Foegele and Ryan, or McLeod and Ryan. I'm sure that bottom 6 pairing will be different. Now on the back end, again, you've got Darnell Nurse, Cody Ceci, who had a very surprising, successful year last year, I would say. On the back end, you've got Kulak and Bouchard. Bouchard, their next up-and-coming offensive defenseman, which I think he'll slot in on that Duncan Keith role that he had last year, but Bouchard is the one who's taking control of that this year. And then we've got Broberg and Tyson Barrie there on the back end as well. I think Barrie, you can really interchange him and Bouchard, or Barrie on the top line with Darnell Nurse. You could mix and match their defense there, especially if there are other players that need to go in and out of the lineup and or due to injuries. And then in between the pipes, we've got Soupy Jack Campbell as well as Skinner there as their backup goaltender. So we'll have to wait and see how things go for them on the back end. Now, taking a look at contracts at this point in time is also a good indicator on who we think is going to have a big year up and coming, and it's pretty much some depth players. Pulivari has a restricted year coming up. He's making $3 million this year. I think it's a bridge deal for the upcoming season, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does for this upcoming year, because he's shown some glimpses of pretty awesome hockey, but then he's quite the streaky player. Let's just put it at that. We've got Derek Ryan, Janmark, and Devon Shore, so low bottom type players on a contract year and are going to try to push to either stay with the Edmonton Oilers or at least stay in the NHL. And on the back end, Evan Bouchard is on a restricted free agent contract year, so this is a big one for him to try to prove to the Edmonton Oilers that he needs a big payday. I think if he has a very solid year around the 50 to 60 point mark, we'd be looking upwards to the $5 million range, I think, when it comes to a deal. Maybe 5x5 or 5x6 could be something if he has a big year moving forward. And then Stuart Skinner, between the pipes, restricted year coming up. He is a little bit younger, so who knows, if he has a decent year, we could see some awesome stuff from him and they keep him around. And then on the back end there on injured reserve, there is Oscar Klefbom still. Who knows with him? He's had massive injuries throughout his career that have really sidelined him, and it's kind of disappointing because he was a very highly touted player coming into the league. He's had some good years, but the injury bug has been unfortunate for him, as we haven't really had the full picture painted for his career as I'm sure he would like to have had back when he started in the NHL. Overall this year, I think it is going to be a good one for the Edmonton Oilers, as they will find a way to make the playoffs once again, and they will probably be up there for the division winner, as it will probably be between them and the Calgary Flames for the division winner by the end of the season, as long as they don't have any stints like they did last December where they were just pitiful in the month, and hopefully they don't run into any issues like that this upcoming year. As long as they can stay healthy, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl specifically, the Edmonton Oilers always have a good chance to push for the Stanley Cup. Now, will they win the Cup? That's going to be something up in the air that we will have to discuss as the year goes on, but the depth of the Edmonton Oilers, especially their top six, is pretty tough. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, Evander Kane, Yamamoto. I mean, you've got Darnell Nurse, Tyson Barrie, Cody Ceci, Ryan, Evan Bouchard. So it's going to be a good year, I think, considering as well they got the upgrade at the goaltender position. So I can expect at least 50 wins in the regular season for the Edmonton Oilers and a run for the Stanley Cup. I think this might be the year they will make the Stanley Cup final, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I want to hear from the Edmonton Oilers fans out there. Who's going to have a big year? Does Evan Bouchard have a massive season and prove that he is a great offensive defenseman in the NHL and among one of the elite? Does Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl continue their dominance on the ice and put up 100+ points? Who is going to be the massive factor for them? Will Jack Campbell be a contender for the Vezina Trophy? Because if he is, they are going to be one of the toughest teams to beat in the league. But that's going to be it for this episode today. I hope you guys have a good one, and as always, stay dusty.